Okay, this brief tutorial gives you an example of how somebody, in this case me, is using Packback. What I'm going to give you is a very short example of some of the basic functionalities and let you put in the time to work through to use this tool to your advantage. So before beginning, understand that I use some combination of Microsoft Word, my preferred platform for academic writing, and Packback. So I'll go back and forth between these two. So let's get to it. Now I have already, you can copy and paste, write your text in. I sometimes think it may be really beneficial to do it paragraph by paragraph. That's up to you. So I have already copied in and gone through most of the formatting. So that may be where some use this as a starting point as you start to shift towards final draft. So let me show you some capabilities. First, as said, you can eliminate the cover page requirements for your final draft, and the rubric reflects that. So with APA headings, right, for section one of your of this project, just put your narrative hook title and the summarizing subtitle. Mine is Intelligent Convergence, Generative Instructional AI, and I search ASU English 102. Now, getting into the writing, I haven't seen any evidence that you can change the color. I'm not crazy about that, but that's a reality with where maybe a downfall that just something with the program is that isn't desirable. I'd like to see this in a darker font and with more options, and that's okay. But when it comes to formatting, as you can see, use just the indentations, right? It may be a little bit more than 5 spaces. That's fine. When we are developing skills for APA format, there's some things we have some leeway with. So indenting your paragraphs, this should give pretty standard tools in terms of doing the basic writing, so that shouldn't really be an issue with you. When it comes to our headings, right? Bold, use the font that's provided, and that's fine. And make sure that your heading is centered, right, for level 1. And for level 2 headings, you left justify them. So I'm not going to go too much with the active composing, although you can. But if we see here, this is what you should be reflecting. Here is part 1, right? That's that they say introduction. Notice how I've separated from that introduction, focusing on the they say and introducing the issue. And then the second paragraph, keeping in third person point of view, but why this is important for the focused community. Next, under my questions, right? APA level 1 heading. Here is that introductory paragraph where we're switching to first person point of view, and I'm locating myself into this situation, continuing to establish my ethos. Then a transition, and very clear, my central research question, transition, 3 sub-questions. The most important question by far is that central research question. And notice that I am using a STEM contextualized. This is the lens that I'm studying this through. And then the question that I'm pursuing. Next, when we talk about my reading, right? Next section, step 3. Here's your APA heading. Short introductory paragraph summarizing my approach early on and what I want to learn, my early reading to gain foundational topic knowledge. Then I use a level 2 heading for clarity and annotated bibliography. This is where it can be a little bit confusing in terms of, I shouldn't say confusing, but just clunky. And let's not nitpick too much on the formatting. Here is your APA citation. Here is, I'm using an indentation for the summary. And what that says to me, not everything is in a hanging indent, that's okay. But here is my entry. Here's my summary, just a little indent. Here's my evaluation, focusing on its credibility, and my reflection on how this supports me building skills to research. Same thing, I'm reviewing my own thesis, same pattern. Citation, right, there's the article, same pattern. Into my free choice, right, here is one website, and there's the pattern. And there we have my final of my 5 readings. And then small conclusion, right? Level 2 heading, left justified. And this is noting how this reading collectively informs me to begin my iSearch, as well as more information that I need to investigate, keeping it pretty short. Next, with the iSearch plan, 50 to 150 words. I'll give leeway to this, but this is where, again, you are giving background and your overall approach. I've already made some recommendations on content, what you can include. Then we see in week 5, I'd really like to see your headings to show that you're organizing this chronologically. I chose to give a second paragraph on Dr. Maynard, right? These are both my interviews, and a second and a third paragraph, a little bit on Dr. Mishra. These are the 2 individuals that I want to interview. You need to have at least one. Reaching out to them early is a good practice. Week 6, here's what I want to accomplish. I also give a little bit of discussion looking towards spring break on how I can improve. You don't have to, I will. Week 7, in the course itself, this is what I want to accomplish. Week 8, this is what I want to accomplish. Week 9, you have the same expectations, but for you it's week 6 through 10. A small concluding paragraph, wrapping up my research approach. Then, level 1 heading, my e-publication plan. All of your headings should match exactly mine, other than your title. Okay, I want no variation from that. I saw it in the practice drafts. It didn't follow the pattern. Keep things simple for yourself. And then we end the composition here. Here is some background on the rhetorical situation, and this is my vision for the e-publication. Now, when it comes to using this for feedback, here we see, again, I'm not going to go this in depth, word count, word choice, and depth. I met within the target range, good to go. Under flow and structure, ease of reading, and I tend to write complicated sentences. So this doesn't tell me much, Flesch-Kincaid score, but it does at least make me aware that I need to consider ease of reading. Sentences of paragraph, I would honestly skip this. A paragraph can be 1 sentence. This is more leveraged, 3 to 6 sentences for academic writing. The structural nature of this project makes it so that's not a huge deal. Sentence depth, this is really good because this can tell you a balance of simple and complex sentences. You don't necessarily need to go through every itemized sentence, but clicking through it once and taking a look to seeing how you might break these up, that can be really helpful, giving you an idea on depth and varying your sentence structure. Sentence-to-sentence flow, okay? This is a lot on transitions between paragraphs, using connective and transition words for tones. Detecting components of an essay. Again, this is a uniquely structured assignment, but it does detect a thesis, a conclusion, and some of my main points. That can be helpful. Where I really think Packback can help you, let's get back. That's just flow and structure. A little bit formatting and presentation, grammar and mechanics. This can really help with passive voice, tone words. Remember, this is geared towards standard academic writing, so sometimes if you don't like the suggestion, then skip it. But you can take a look at possibly some grammar errors. So for example, this one. I repeat the word future for 3 consecutive sentences. That could be due to lack of vocabulary or word choice. Me, I did it purposefully, so I'll ignore that. Next, let me give an example of one. Under sentence structure. Whoops, my bad. Back to grammar check. So if I find something It's simply recognizing there's not an error. This is a long sentence. Maybe I could split it up. Okay. Um, this suggests that a determinator may be missing, and I can choose to change it, or I can ask for an explanation of the grammatical principle. You don't necessarily need to, but if you take a look, this is actually instructing you through the feedback. Next. So feedback is going to give a lot of the basics, grammar errors and things like that, flow and structure, formatting and presentation, grammar and mechanics, research quality. Um, but where I really think the learning opportunities happen is chat. So you have your own chat history, and yes, I can view your chat history, but that's no big deal. I'm not going to scrutinize that, not for a grade. You can resume a chat that you're having if you want to, but you can also engage, going back to chat home, building an outline, struggle in getting started. I love this one, get help diving deeper. So what this does is this takes my draft and suggestions for diving deeper, what you did well, some things that you can do. So, for example, in your e-publication plan, consider discussing the importance of developing critical thinking skills in students when using AI for research and writing. Um, so, what I love about this is while instructional AI is still developing big time, but it actually is giving me ideas beyond like grammar, but actual critical thinking. So, how can you further explore collaborative aspects of AI in context of student engagement and writing? What are potential benefits and challenges? See, this is going beyond grammar, but this is actually tutoring me a little bit on critical thinking as an author. And that is a radical step forward for getting real time help when you're going through the process of composing. This is one of the unique features of Packback. So it is not just looking at your work in terms of grammar, what's quote right or wrong, but actually improving as a critical thinker, especially in context of research writing. Now, getting to references, I'm going to show you that this is clunky at this point. I imagine the program will improve. But in order to add a source, go under these classifications, and I know you have more ways to classify resources than this. The one thing you need to do is start with a URL. So let's say you're taking a picture of a flyer that you found on the street. There's not going to be a URL to it. Just start like this, put in some sort of a link, search for it, and then it'll give you the option to add manually. And that's where you'll get a little bit of a template. You may have to consult some outside resources for the formatting of what you're engaging in, but at least gives you a template to put this information in terms of your sources. And I'm going to delete this. So make sure that you have your 5. Plus, if you cite any other sources in this draft, it's obviously you're responsible to cite them. Another thing is for alphabetization. I am struggling to alphabetize my sources at this point in time. Just focus on getting your sources in. You will not be marked off if they are not alphabetized. Next, I want to go to research notes. We all have really unique ways that we will engage in research, but something that might be dynamic, add some demo text. You can have a separate space where you're kind of copying and pasting the link, and you're doing your own kind of like annotated bibliography here, separate from the draft. And what I like about this is you add resources, it'll engage in citation assistant, and it can actually help save these resources into your references section. You may be beyond the point, if you're not already using this feature with Packback, to where you may not see value in the research notes, but this is another tool to explore with instructional AI. Now, focus on successful completion of the project draft and keep using this tool.